Ladies and gentlemen, I think they got something they want to say. I think they got something they want to say.
Welcome back to another episode. Once again, I'm Kerstyn, your lovely host, and I have my other lovely host,
Maxine, the Democratic wild card. Hey, guys.
And we have...
Hello. Everybody's very conservative in New York, Christopher Wright.
Yes, and we are the Politricks Podcast. Today we are on episode 17.
So incredible.
This is we're getting close to number 20. Yeah. And I really feel like 20 is going to be like a really big episode for us. I don't know why. I have like a really good feeling.
We're here at 20s.
Yeah, we're 17 now. We're still in teens. So thanks to everyone for listening and sharing the podcast, leaving comments. Please continue to share with friends and family. Follow us on Politricks Podcast on Instagram. Twitter, Politricks Pod. You can find us on YouTube if you're watching us right now, because we are officially on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hey.
Really dope. We're excited. This is our first, our first time in the video format, right?
Yeah. Finally. Yeah. We kept promising it was coming.
We told you it was going to come.
We weren't lying.
We still have more surprises coming. You're going to see. We're building this up, and please continue to, we'll definitely hit subscribe if you're watching us right now. That would be great.
Yes,
hit subscribe,
share, and get the content out there.
Yep, and leave a comment and everything. You can also listen to us, obviously. We are also on the Anchor app. We're on Spotify. We're on Soundcloud. We're on Apple. So we're everywhere. Just
you guys need to catch up pretty much.
Yeah. I would probably, if this is your first time, start from the beginning, the first episode, and just work your way through, binge on us. You'll see the difference. And I think we're getting a lot more comfortable,
definitely.
Podcasting.
Yep.
And, we're really, we're excited about all the listeners. We're all over the world, which is awesome for us. And we're have you seen lately the analytics? Do you know how many states we're in? Last time, I think we're in 30 states,
really?
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Oh, we're
That's
getting out
awesome.
there.
I can share that with you.
Shout out to Texas.
Yeah. Wait, but Texas is number one.
I know.
How's that possible?
Keep shouting them
Dumb
out, man.
conservatives.
Jeez, we're we're happy though. We're really happy, but we're hello, we're in New York. That's that's crazy. But okay, sorry. So this is kind of weird because now you can see us. So there's obviously someone else in the room. There's obviously someone standing here and sitting here in the studio with us. His name is Elad. And if you might recognize him from his YouTube videos, Barely Informed with Elad. And, we're happy to have him. Welcome, Elad. How are you?
Hey, guys. First and foremost, thank you guys so much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Always.
It's nice to see you again. Let's go way back at this point.
Yeah.
My name's Elad. I have my YouTube channel. It's called Barely Informed with Elad. I am a journalist, and I interview people at protests and rallies in the greater New York City and greater Northeast area.
Right.
And it's not limited to me just owning libtards. That's not my flavor of it. I really go about it of understanding if people are dumb, but I get that from both sides.
Correct.
And personally, I enjoy engaging the most with MAGA people, but it's a really interesting channel.
You're in the Northeast. You got to go further south to get really...
Yeah, it might change up.
It might change. You might start seeing that the libtards are not as libtards as your magtards or whatever you want to call them.
I don't know if I
don't co-sign that. I'm just saying, huh?
I don't know if I could leave New York. I have so much love for New York.
Okay.
So even though it's very democratic oriented here, I still got a lot of love for New York.
You come to Staten Island? That's where I live.
No, I haven't been.
Oh my God, you gotta go.
It's a little bit red there.
You're gonna... It's totally red.
Entirely.
That's the whole thing is red.
They have the blue ribbon around all the trees, the Blue Lives Matter.
Oh, I love it.
Wow. For the police.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm having a Blue Lives rally in Manhattan.
All the firefighters and police officers, most people, they live
there.
Island.
Yeah. They live in Staten Island or
Good
Long
public servants.
Yeah,
we respect it.
You'll get some people though, because I actually had a, I guess, white supremacist lived next door to me, and I didn't know.
Well, I
didn't. I don't know if he's declared, but it was several years I lived next to the guy, and then only because of that Charlestown protest that I noticed. Because I'm very familiar with the Confederate flag, but I didn't know what the other neo-Nazi type symbols are
until
that Charlestown or
Charlottesville
protest. And then one day I was coming out of my house, and he's always working on his car right near his garage.
Is he like nice,
and there was a
welcoming?
huge flag, and I said, I've seen that flag before. So I posted it I took a picture real quick, and I posted it on Facebook. I'm like, you guys, am I tripping, or is this like totally like white supremacy? And everyone was like, yeah, girl,
Take
Google
it down, girl.
And he
Wait,
had
what
it
kind of
loud.
flag are we talking? It's just like a Confederate?
No, it was like it has
like
that
those little signs.
That
in
it almost looks like a cross. It's like
Yeah.
that.
Interesting. I'll
It's
take
like
your word
it's
for
like
it.
I don't know. But it's and I'm like, wow, this is I'm
And you have
totally in
kids
Staten
now?
Island.
Does he say hello to you? Is
I
he like-
moved, but like
Okay, but did he say hello to you before? Or was he like welcoming, or was he just like
No, he
mind
was
a
a bit
business?
weird,
He was a man. Okay.
Anyway, just
Well,
saying.
okay,
Okay,
well,
well, MAGA
that's-
people,
yeah.
we got them for you in Staten Island.
And we got Chris here too. So
Hey, see,
Yeah,
there you go,
yeah.
man. Right in
but
Brooklyn.
Chris is like,
Chris just got.
Not-
To, yeah, we're working on Chris. We're working. We've got a couple more
Keep
months.
on
with
working,
Chris.
ladies. Guy.
Keep
Not
he's
happening.
getting deeper and deeper as we go. But
we
okay.
tolerate Chris.
Can we? I just want to. I want to get into our regular talk. I want to know how everybody's week was before we get into Elad.
Definitely.
So, how was everyone's week?
Whew. I'm recovering from mine.
Okay.
I was in Bermuda.
Yay!
Wow, bro, Bermuda
Vacation.
Triangle. How
Yeah, I
that?
was in Bermuda having vacation, and it was wild and crazy. And I realized I can't drink every single day. Like, there's that meme where it's like when you're 30 and you drink,
Yep.
you need like 3 days to
So you get to that
recover.
point in life.
Like, yeah, that's me. So I had a great week, but I'm trying to recover.
Oh yeah,
Basically.
you get to that point in life where everybody hits that point. Where
And it's like
oh,
heat.
I can't do that
You have
anymore.
heat and liquor at the same time.
Man.
You were
Like-
lit on the gram though, girl. You were out in your bikini, living your life in the ocean,
I'm
jumping in the water. I was like,
I
really,
was feeling
dude?
myself.
I really want to go to. I want a
Yellow.
vacation, man. I'm
I was
like,
feeling myself.
yeah, you were, and you and verily you should absolutely have that time to enjoy.
Thank you.
And
You
just
deserve
be,
it.
Yeah,
Thank
she
you,
works really
thank you.
hard. She's a great mom. She's a career career woman. She's a philanthropist. Like, I mean, you do it all. Like, you definitely
Thank
need
you,
a
ma'am.
vacation. Yeah.
Appreciate it. So I had a good time.
I make a mean cheese sandwich. You know what I mean?
How about you, Chris?
No.
How was your week?
It was good. It was good. Mainly, I just getting settled in. I'm starting working out again, trying to getting around the neighborhood, getting around people that I used to know from around the way back in the days. And I'm back. I'm back around town. So,
Cool.
so things are good.
Are they still your friends now?
they don't know the details.
Do you
see you
they
in a
don't
MAGA hat?
He doesn't wear that in Brooklyn. He never would wear that in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
FYI, now
time.
you're on YouTube
One
with
time.
our people
They see
watching.
your face.
They see you with and everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a wide shot, so I don't know if you could see the hat. The hat says Black Lives MAGA.
MAGA. I can't.
Okay,
all day.
Black Lives
day,
MAGA.
all day.
All right.
That's
Make
what I
America
stand
great.
for. You know what I mean? I was like, you guys.
I don't know.
what
I
to
think those are like
I
opposites.
have never in my
and,
life.
and P.S. I did wear one time. I wore my MAGA hat in Bed-Stuy, and that was for the Kanye West video when I said I'm putting my Superman cape on for Kanye, and I rocked it for him, and I walked through and did a little talk on it. So
Okay.
definitely
This is
shout out
part
to
of a
Kanye.
movement, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Flags
totally.
it.
Definitely.
Flags it.
That's
No.
it.
Oh, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
real
That's
thing.
a
And
Yeah,
I
we
said, and I
found-
said
we
for a
heard
long
it.
time, we need a celebrity, not an athlete. I said we need a celebrity to come out and support
Yeah,
Trump.
but he done went away and he's in church now.
He
He's
realized
Kanye.
that
He's
was
Kanye. You know,
yeah,
he's
and he has
artist.
no
He's-
idea
He had
what
like a
anything
political
means.
moment for like 5 minutes.
And that's
you're
all
like,
we needed. That's
Where
all we
where
needed.
Kanye been at? Now he's in
And
church.
you know
every
what?
day.
And he
Okay.
has no idea what anything means. Like, he literally, in terms of politics, like everything else, musician, he's a genius.
Yeah.
But in terms of politics, he has no idea like what he's talking about. He's literally just kind of just saying how he feels, talking from the heart, which is fine if you're not talking to millions of people who are disenfranchised. It's like you've got to like just. Let's
Careful.
Would you say that about Cardi B?
Responsible.
Just research.
Cardi
just
B?
research.
Yeah, would you say the same thing about
Yeah.
Cardi?
So,
Good question.
But I feel like Cardi, even though she kind of is leaning towards Bernie, which she clarified, I think, in a post last night, she's like, I just want you all to educate yourselves on
Yeah.
our Democratic candidates, even though she's
Sure.
kind of pushing for Bernie. Whereas Kanye was just Trump all day.
yeah.
In all fairness, Kanye West is a musical genius, but does suffer
Yes.
from mental illness. Actually, Kanye's insane. Like,
So does
in
Trump.
Yeah. No. That may be a Freudian slip.
So you stuck that in
No,
there.
Kanye West has mental illness. Cardi B doesn't. She's a different type of crazy, but not mental illness type crazy. If you guys know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, because you know Kanye.
Fair.
That's coming
That's
from a place
fair.
of love.
That's
I love
fair.
hip hop.
No, that's
and
fair to
personally,
say.
I love Jesus. It's my favorite
think
album.
Jesus is your favorite album?
Jesus, yes.
Wow.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting. I'm
Yes.
college dropout all day.
That's the kind of guy I am.
College
So-
dropout.
I like that, man.
All
I
right.
like
that.
Jesus. But
All
you
right.
sleep when you-
Yeah.
Okay. How was your week?
It was good. I'm going to give myself a little plug because I recently started to do this journalism stuff full time. So I've been planning a lot of events and been going to a lot of events. On Sunday, I was at a march against anti-Semitism. It was a really interesting event because it wasn't organized by like mostly Jewish people. And not to say that non-Jews can't care about anti-Semitism, but it was organized by like a ministry. So it was a lot of the faith-based oriented people.
So Christians organized it.
Yeah. And it was really, really interesting.
And did you interview people?
I interviewed people. You guys could check the video out on YouTube.
I want to check that video out. I saw the ties of anti-Semitism.
Yeah, and then I also have a trip planned Thursday. Trump's going to give he's having a rally in Cincinnati that I'm going to. So,
wow.
So if you guys had any questions you guys wanted to have me ask anybody, let me know.
Wow.
Well, I guess
so that's what I've been up to, and that's how the week's
Yeah,
going.
I'm going to get into we're going to get more into that. Yeah,
you know how we do.
Yeah. That was definitely like he
no.
just hit. I was like, oh wow, I do. I was trying to think of like what questions I have. I have a lot. My week was good. Yesterday was my birthday, which was really cool.
Whoa, happy birthday!
Thank you. I also what have I been up to? I've just been like all over the place. Today I was at Instagram, which was really cool for work.
Their headquarters?
Their headquarters.
Oh,
well,
really?
it's not headquarters is in California, but their New York office. I was there. It's gorgeous. Like,
how'd you get invited?
I can actually bring you there. I can bring you.
Like,
you probably bring Maxine.
Yeah, I
I'm
work
probably
in
banned
music. I work in
sometimes.
music. So I work in music. So that's the other side of my life. So I work on the music side. So I like music and politics and tennis. Those are my things.
Oh, tennis.
That's my thing, and basketball a little bit, not as much as I used to.
You play tennis though.
I don't.
You don't
want
play
to.
tennis?
I'm not
I got
good.
that vibe like you play
I
tennis.
don't. I really need to. I have this. I met this man who is a tennis coach. I met him through someone that was playing tennis, like where I live. And I was like, hey, do you know any good tennis coaches? And he put me in contact with him. And the guy keeps calling, like texting me. I'm like, dude, I can't. I'm out this weekend. Dude, I can't. And the thing is, like, when I was younger, I used to play tennis, but I was really not good. I wasn't good. And my mom was like, this is really an expensive sport. So you either have to start getting into it and take it focused, or we're going to try something else. And I was like,
I got a friend of mine. She's a woman. She has a kid. She's going at with her son right now in football. He like sucks, but she's like, you got to step it up like right now because I'm paying a lot of money. I can't really afford.
Do you have to pay for football?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You're talking about American
pads
football.
And helmet. Oh, American football.
Oh yeah.
Not football.
You wouldn't say football. I don't know why I even.
Yeah, soccer. That's soccer.
That.
It's American.
Because I didn't even think that. I know, right? I didn't think that football. I thought it was just like kind of like anybody can play. No. I didn't think it was like a very expensive sport.
No, I mean because you got to buy the shoulder pads, helmet, gear. A lot of gear is what football.
It's not super expensive, but they got to get it together. Anyway.
Hot take: I'm anti-football.
Oh, really? Why?
Why?
It's dangerous.
It causes brain damage. It's brain damage for kids. I mean, if you think about it, our heads weren't meant to bang into each other like rams.
I thought they don't do that anymore. They don't. You're not allowed to do that.
I played middle school football and JV football. If you guys know,
that was back then. Though,
no. But here's the thing: when you're at the line of scrimmage. You get up and you run into each other and bang heads.
Like
there's no way around it, and there's certain physics of it where it's not good for you. And let's just say it wasn't even bad for your head. The rest of your body, you're destroying your body physically. And I don't want to go as far to say the same thing about other sports like basketball, but basketball screws up your knees. But football is much worse for you than basketball. But I played football. Like my parents let me. I was a little tough kid. I'm not saying it's the worst thing ever. There are worse things. Mixed martial arts. You're gonna hurt yourself.
Right.
But I wouldn't let my kid play football. Coming from somebody who played football.
I don't know.
And I'm kind of hesitant.
You love football?
Love it.
Oh, do you? I didn't know you were a football head.
What?
Who's your team? Who's your team?
Make me sound like the liberal.
Oh, Eagles.
Die hard.
You got your ring finally.
I'm a die hard.
What's your team?
I grew up with the 49ers, but Baltimore Ravens all day now. I'm Baltimore. Back home.
We gonna talk about Baltimore.
Oh, yes,
Don't worry. We gonna talk about Baltimore, Mr. Baltimore.
Baltimore. It's Baltimore. Baltimore.
Be more. All right. So everyone had a good week. That's cool. So, are you guys ready to politic?
Oh,
let's do it.
All right. Let's politics, guys. Yeah. Woo. Okay. So, Elad, I really want to get into like how you got into becoming a journalist. Like, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into just kind of creating like a YouTube page. How long have you been doing it? And what's next? What do you envision for?
So I've been going to protests for about a year now. It started off by me sitting in front of like a TV watching CNN, Fox News, and just getting like not mad, but like frustrated in kind of like a funny way. Like these ridiculous people aren't saying the most obvious questions that any sensible person would ask, and I think of myself as like a very sensible, smart guy,
Yeah.
of course. So I had a lot of that, and I thought somebody needed to be the mature journalist, and that's what I dubbed myself. Somebody needs to ask some of these responsible, basic questions.
Yeah.
And if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. And that's what encouraged me. I saw a lot of protests going on in New York. I was very interested in politics for a long time, from a distance. The reason I like
your parents?
Not particularly. Not
Just-
political.
Do they like talk about politics a lot at home?
Almost never.
Wow.
Almost never.
Oh, wow.
Maybe now in the modern day, because everybody was talking about Trump and
Kinda have to
Clinton.
now, I think.
Yeah.
That's when they talked a little bit about it, but not really. They're relatively apolitical people. My parents are religious.
Do they vote? Are they voters?
They are voters.
Okay, cool. Nice.
They are voters.
All right.
So I figured somebody had to be responsible. I saw these protests. I figured it was a good way to engage. I
Yeah.
think I do it really well. There are a lot of other people doing, not a lot, a few people of doing this, other people doing this, but I think I bring something different to the table.
Definitely.
So-
Where do you see, like, where do you align, would you say? Politically?
So let's like go down the issues. Like throw one at me, and I'll tell you because
Okay, so you don't identify.
I don't want to put a tag on it.
Okay.
I am highly influenced by Thomas Sowell. So
Who's that?
Oh,
Thomas Sowell, he's an
He's a black
economist.
conservative, like I guess it's a comment.
Economist. He's just an economist.
Yeah.
Chicago School
Genius, man.
of
He's a
Economics.
genius, man. I love
so
Thomas
like
Sowell.
I
Love
read a
Thomas
bunch
Sowell.
of his books, and that's kind of what got me into it. But like
So is that like
socially
being an
liberal,
okay.
socially liberal and fiscally conservative.
That's what I say.
But like you need to make. There's things beyond that.
So how
like,
do you
let's
feel
go
about
through
feel like
abortion?
that's just
What do you
like
think
a
about abortion?
millennials.
How do you? What are your thoughts on abortion?
Let me ask you. I'm a 12-weeker. I think you shouldn't be able to get abortions past 12 weeks. Does that make
Okay.
me pro-life or
Does
pro-choice?
it matter what happened, the situation?
Wait. You shouldn't.
I'll talk about that in a second.
Hold on. You shouldn't get an abortion after 12 weeks.
Yes.
Okay. So that kind of makes you. I don't know.
It's inherently
That's kind of-
pro-choice.
It is a pro-choice.
It's obviously
Yeah,
pro-choice. But it's funny that you have to think about it and think, hey, is that pro-life? Because it's pro-choice.
Well, you're preserving the life once it's now it's more than just like
First trimester.
Yeah.
What if the mother is life's like at risk or something of that nature?
So here's the thing. What do you mean like the mother's life's at risk? So we're at 12 weeks and the mother's life's at risk because she can't give birth to it?
I don't-
Like those cases are so extremely rare and they go beyond the scope. Like, do you know how rape and incest are extremely rare? It's even more rare than those cases. To preserve the life of the mother, I mean, I guess I'd make an exception.
That's what I'm saying. Do you feel like, I want to know where you're at. Like, do you feel like the 12-week is that it? There's no such thing after that?
Here's the thing: once you have an abortion past a certain amount of time with the mother, when you're trying to say you need to save the life, like past 21 weeks, the fetus is viable. So you need to murder the fetus in the womb because it is viable, and then deliver it after that. So like, if you said the mother's life was at risk, are we going to now kill something that we know is viable? So that's where I stick to the 12 weeks. I think we're talking about such a fringe event with the mother's life in case that, I mean, we could take it by case basis. I think of that as a red herring, though.
Okay.
Okay.
How are you on the environment?
What does that mean?
What do you think? Do you think that we have a crisis that we should be trying to create solutions for? And, there's pollution, there's the weather's changing. Do you think that we should, limit our what is our waste? What's like? I mean, I really don't know.
I'll
what
get
pollution
into it. I'll
is.
get into it.
Should we be cleaning our oceans that are
Yeah.
like super, super like, toxic? And
Chris is gonna say one word, aren't you? One country.
Let's get
He's
into
gonna say
China.
China.
I know, China.
There's a lot to unpack there. I do think we're polluting the environment and more specifically the ocean with like plastic. They're like plastic islands out there, and we should be able to do something about those. Now let's speak
We as the
specifically.
government, or we as like people, or we as like an organization?
The government should have an organized, like, yank that big piece of fucking
It's okay.
that fudging piece of plastic
Sure.
outside of the middle of the ocean,
Yep.
bomb it, take it out, grab it, do something with it, figure something out. Because if it's an island in the middle of somewhere, we could figure something. I have a lot of confidence in the human race. I have a lot of confidence in scientists. Like I have confidence in us being able to figure something out with that. But now I think the broader question is global warming is what we're kind of hinting at.
Sure.
I recognize that global warming is happening. I don't think that scientists right now know the rate at which global warming is happening. I know they don't, because they get the math wrong all the time. And like I read liberal news sources that point this out, and it's an obvious fact. So we're not sure what our influence is. We know that we have an influence. I as I understand, we have an influence. The climate is changing.
Yeah.
And at the basis of it, we do need to do something. I don't think the Green New Deal is a viable, like a makes sense option. I think a lot of far progressives are hijacking this climate change movement to try to instill a revolution of some sort, and that's why it's always highly suspicious of that. And there's a ton of fear mongering.
And they got the kids out in the streets.
Well, you hear AOC saying like Malthusian things about you don't have children, and when you hear garbage like that, it's hard not to be like, you guys are a bunch of global warming kooks. I don't think the world's going to end in 10 years. I think the humans are going to have to adapt to a certain amount of climate change and treat the planet better.
I agree.
Okay. How are you on guns? Are you pro carrying a gun everywhere you go, or like?
I wish New York gave me the ability to carry a concealed gun.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
And why wouldn't I? Would you guys not?
No, I do
Do
not.
you guys carry?
I do not.
Do you guys carry mace?
No,
I
don't.
no.
I don't.
Knife, nothing?
Unfortunately, okay, please, just don't bother me out there.
I
Like-
used to carry. No, but I used
Just
to.
leave me alone, please.
I never carried mace, but I had to carry something.
I mean, I did. I used
Was
to
it-
carry a knife. Like my fiance gave me a little. He was like, "Hey, you're always out late at night. Just have." And then like I was traveling, and TSA is like, "Hey, you can't go with that." And I was like, "Oh, I know. I'm so sorry." And thank God they like didn't like put me in jail for that, because I mean it wasn't like something sharp, but they were like, "Yeah, you can't have that."
New York is crazy.
And so I forgot, but I do. I mean, I would probably, if that's the only thing that I would use. I wouldn't a gun. I just think that if everyone has a gun, we all have really short tempers. Today, I was on public transportation, and I literally was. It's hot. We were annoyed, and I was like, listen, the person next to me like was annoying me, so I don't want. You know what I mean? Like, he could be annoyed by me, and just because he's annoyed and he had a bad day, he can pull out his gun. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I think is.
That's how responsible you think people are. That's how much credit you're giving New Yorkers.
I mean, it's not that. It's just, here's the thing. We're not. It's the Wild Wild West. You know what I mean?
You know how many guns are already here, though.
Crazy.
People are still getting shot. In Brownsville, East New York, we had a shooting recently at a park where it was like a reunion of old people.
Oh,
know how much shootings are going. You live in Harlem, I live in Brooklyn.
I don't live in Harlem.
I mean, you guys, that's where the areas are.
Yeah.
There are guns here.
Yeah.
Gun control. We have some of the tightest gun control, and that's why I want a gun, because I don't feel safe. I don't know if you've heard, but like some instances that stand out to me, you're saying you don't want people to have guns on the subways and stuff. In AOC's district, there was a guy who was shot on the subway platform
I saw
a few
that.
months ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey, we have tight gun control, but now we have illegal immigrants,
I think that we
illegal aliens with illegal guns killing people on the subway platforms. I want a firearm.
MS-13 gang member,
But that
by
was
the way.
one. I mean, like we have.
But
These
they're
are like
not
this
one-off
wasn't.
killings in our neighborhoods.
Yeah, I
These
know.
aren't
And it
one-off.
wasn't too far from where I live
aren't
either.
one-off.
Right. I do understand that, and I think that we should take guns. And no one should have a gun. Only police officers should have guns. That's it.
I agree.
Police
But how do we
officers
get the
are the
guns out of the
only
criminals'
ones.
hands? I mean, it sounds
I
so
don't know
perfect.
what the
It's too late. It's America. America's born with guns.
Too
This
late,
country
you think?
We took the British out of here. We kicked the British out by guns.
Yeah.
Like, by force. We
Right.
are a gun carrying, holding
Right,
country.
right.
I went to Georgia when I was living down there. He had ladies 85 years old with a shotgun by the door. Like, I wish you would try me.
Wow.
And she's like, I can still shoot it pretty good too.
Right.
And
I mean,
I
think,
believe her. Trust
I
me.
think
I wanna
here's
be
where
able to
I
say
think where
that.
I would. Here's where I would consider having a gun is if I lived like in a place where the police weren't so close, or like because
That's the South.
I understand where if you live in the South or upstate New York or somewhere where it's a rural place, and you don't have access to police officers to come in 3.5 minutes, whereas in those places it might take 20 minutes for them to get there, and
So
it's
do you
like
trust or
I'm
distrust
already.
them then? Like the
What?
police in general?
I trust the police
Okay.
in the sense that
Because a lot of communities don't. Like,
well, no, I mean, our community don't. Our community
generally
don't.
speaking.
And I can say that I understand it because I'm a black woman. So for me, it's like it's hard. But I grew up respecting the police, just respecting them,
as you should.
respecting them, because I feel like the work they do is so difficult. Like we have to sometimes think about it. You're walking into like the danger that I'm running out of.
Every
Do you
day.
know what I mean?
Every day. Every day.
That is
Every single
so
day.
difficult. Like I
To do
cannot.
that once a week would be insane.
Oh my god, I couldn't even like. There's certain
It's
jobs
crazy.
out there that I can't even picture myself.
And I was telling Elad about this earlier, and I said, "Look, it's one thing." Elad. So
Elad.
I'm bad with
Elad.
names.
Elad.
Like Aladdin.
Oh, there we go. Elad. That's how I learned too with nicknames. Aladdin. Okay, Elad.
Yeah.
But what I was talking about out there is like when you're a soldier, you at least got the respect as a soldier. Like respect your soldiers. Yes, sir. You comes back
Not
from
when
tour.
you get back.
Yeah,
When
not
you get
Vietnam,
back.
not
Yeah.
Vietnam. But most of the time they do.
Yeah.
Where police officers, like
Right.
they're called pigs in rap songs.
Right.
They're
Colin Kaepernick sucks.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, Elad. That's
You don't like Colin Kaepernick?
I think Colin.
What don't you like about him? What is so wrong with Colin Kaepernick?
I think Colin Kaepernick is a bad business decision for any team to have wanted to sign at this point, and I think he wasn't a good.
But did
enough,
anybody sign him?
No.
Oh,
But
okay.
he's not a good enough quarter to be signed with the baggage that he brings.
Okay.
And at this point, he wanted to profit more off of being a political figure.
Okay.
And like that's not unique to him. And also, I could go down the list of reasons why I
Sure,
don't like
please.
him. So he wears socks that have pigs on them.
Okay.
Yeah, he
that's
did do
generally
that.
disrespectful. But that's not even the worst thing he did. He wore a Fidel Castro shirt in Miami. So if you understand like the Cuban Revolution and Cubans
Yeah.
fleeing to Florida, they killed them. There was a socialist revolution. There was very hard feelings there.
Real quick on top of that.
And then he was like, "Why didn't I get signed by the Dolphins?
Real
Why aren't the Dolphins signing me?" And I'm wearing the Fidel Castro shirt in Florida, and it's like, "Oh, why isn't anybody signing me? I'm getting blackballed." To a certain degree, teams weren't signing him. He wasn't worth the business decision, and he was an average quarterback.
By the way,
Average.
that game he played, by the way, a linebacker sacked him at the very end of the game, and he was a Cuban, and his parents escaped from Fidel Castro's Cuba, and he hugged them at the end of the game, and they were all crying together after he sacked Colin Kaepernick. That guy's a snake.
All I
hope
can
you
say.
hope you hear that too, Colin.
But do you think there's merit to like the concern that he had around
It's BS though. From the mouth. It's,
But wait,
the
but
police,
what
the police killings of unarmed black people?
So I've read studies that have said that there isn't a disproportion. Cops are killing whites at similar
Well,
rates, blacks at similar rates.
Totally,
but I'm not
totally,
saying, having
totally.
said that, I think cops are killing too many people. Cops shouldn't be killing black people. Cops shouldn't be killing white people. Cops shouldn't be killing
But
anybody.
do you think there's an inherent prejudice that black people are more violent? Inherently, before we even get because I'm black, I am seen as a threat.
Yes or no? If I put yes, you can't be honest.
Repeat the question one more time.
Do you believe there's a prejudice inherently that black people are more violent coming from the police?
No.
Oh,
I genuinely don't.
Really?
I genuinely don't. And I wanted to ask you, do you think that too?
I do.
I absolutely do. And I said
you as
I
a
respect.
yeah.
I respect the police.
Can I get a follow up though?
Sure,
Do you
go
as a
ahead.
black person think that of other black people?
No.
Wait,
And
wait. What's your question? Do I feel?
No, yeah. Do you think black people have a preconceived like what? I don't
You know
remember
what?
the
I'll be
exact
honest.
phrasing.
We're women, as women, right? So if there's a black man, if there's a white man behind me, I'm tall. I still like let them pass because I don't want them towering over me. There's still. Now here's the thing, because we're
You guys yes or no to me? Come on,
Well,
yes or no.
no,
to
you
that?
know, I have to be.
You know?
For me, it's a tough question because I was
I don't wanna
physically
say that.
abused, so I don't think I can answer that the right way. In the perspective of, I kind of view men, period, like as a threat to me. I don't know if
So not particularly black men.
No, but I don't want. It's a nuanced kind of
But I
question.
don't know if that's due to
because-
trauma and not like societal
But
standards.
could you say that about somebody who was assaulted
You know
by
what
a
I mean?
black man at one point? Then you could say, I mean, that doesn't
Like a
justify
white
That's
woman,
not
a white
inherent.
woman.
That's not inherent. Then I'm saying, like, I feel that society puts this inherent prejudice on black people.
Sure.
I am a victim of trauma. I think it's a bad question to ask
Right.
me.
Can I have-
but
oh, yeah.
someone who has not had any experience with a black person, I do feel like our society naturally makes them feel like they are a threat.
Sure.
We
Do you
do,
guys-
and we do feel that way because we watch the news every day. Because every single day for all our lives, we were socialized to see black men as threats. From the moment they turned 15, they are no longer babies. Even when they're 12, they're still not children. They are adult men and fearful. And when you see the black man, you should be scared. Which is why police officers are inherently racist when they're dealing with black people.
But then we
not all. But there is, and this is not just white cops. This is not just, it's not so cut and it's because we've been socialized. I can't even blame them.
Is it cops or society? Are you saying police officers or society?
But police
because
officers
there's a lot of
have
black
to keep
cops.
the law. They also are.
Okay, so it's all people. It's society then. It's not, you're pointing out it at the people. But then we were just talking about the same thing. You know, we were talking about, it's a population thing. It's beyond the police officers, right? It's not just cops who think that black people might be preconceived to be more violent.
So are the police officers shooting? It doesn't matter if it's a black police officer shooting an unarmed black man or if it's a white police officer or a Hispanic police officer. If they have the guns, they're the ones that are supposed to be protecting the people, right? They're supposed to be, coming in to save. They can't come in with a bias. They can't come in saying that black man is already and shoot him and
I don't
kill
think they're
him.
killing blacks at a disproportionate rate. That's the thing.
No, well, I have to be fair, and you're probably trying to get to that point. We do have to admit that we black people disproportionately commit more crime. When you look, but my thing is, I understand why, like the positions they're in, the economic disadvantages.
And what she mentioned, the mainstream media has a lot to do with it as well,
like,
because
we commit 50% of the murders. Like, I mean, just
I don't like that statistic thrown in this conversation because what that does is it reinstates for people who are watching or listening. It reinstates the reasoning why I should shoot and kill a black man.
No. Not at all.
That's what it. I mean, why do you bring up that statistic?
No, but we're saying if you're a police officer and every day you're dealing with violent crime and you are dealing with more black people committing violent crimes.
If you're in Baltimore, for example, as a police officer, like a lot of my friends. But that
doesn't make it right. That doesn't mean they shouldn't change. But I'm just saying that's what they're dealing with on a daily basis more often.
But that's a problem. We have to address it. I think policing's been good.
But it doesn't mean it doesn't.
Policing's been good.
Hold on. But the big problem.
Yes.
Hold on. A big problem.
We could talk about that.
We have
and a lot of black church communities were calling.
I know.
For these neighborhoods to be policed.
We talk about that.
Okay, yeah.
We talk about that.
And a big problem we also have is the mainstream media. It is what it is. The mainstream media congratulates the thug black man, and the clean cut black man is Uncle Tom. He's a coon. He's lame. He's nowadays a lame. Well, it is. When you look at the media, look at the rappers who are popular right now. All of them got tattoos on their neck, their face. They look horrible with the crazy color hair.
Yeah.
And this is what the girls are like. Oh yeah, look at so and so, 5'3", tatted up, looking like an idiot. But it's like, okay, but this is the hotness, and
what does that have? The problem is like just because I've been like abused by a black man, does that make it okay for me to now see all black men?
Of course not.
Right, but that can't. No. Just let me finish. So my point is that even though police officers may be dealing, depending on what city you're at, may be dealing with more crime from people of color, it doesn't mean that they should then going forward just take that with them and assume. That's what I'm trying to say.
The argument to that would be, so they don't have a right to go home because they should be. Because I understand there's always I understand. So this is our answer. So for the cops who are listening, again, we respect what you do. We know it's difficult. However, you can't kill unarmed people, specifically black men, because you feel threatened because of their color. You shouldn't. You have to shoot them in the leg. You have to throw a mace or do whatever you have to do, but don't kill these.
Tupac Shakur, shoot him in the leg.
Right.
Don't get the murder charge.
Yeah, don't kill these people because what you're doing is. Like
other measures,
we're losing. We're losing.
Not even shooting. Like there's so many. I feel like they just. I don't know.
I think it's that shoot to kill mentality that.
I just feel like I think society we're on edge more with each other. Period. Not just police. Like I think everyone is just on edge where we weren't as so.
Well, that's what's dangerous. All this division we have.
So there's just I'm ready to pop off type like mentality. Whether you're a police, whether you're anybody, and I think that scares people. Like,
well, look at my friend Scott Hogan, for example. Shout out to Scott Hogan, by the way, in Baltimore. He was an officer in Baltimore, and he was on a domestic case that happened, and he got called on a domestic case, and pretty much to make a long story short, he came on the case. The guy was arguing with his woman he was cheating with. Wasn't his wife. He was cheating on his wife with this woman. He came in on that situation. They were arguing. He said, okay, separated them. Sir, wait outside. Took the lady inside. While he took the lady inside, the guy came inside with the. I'm sorry, Scott, if I don't get the story 100% right, but I know like the main juice of it. He came inside, had the gun. Lady saw him coming. She ran out right when he came in. He shot. When he shot, my friend Scott jumped in front of the guy's son because he was going to shoot his own son pretty much.
Oh my goodness.
So he caught the bullet, and then when he caught the bullet through his armor, he laid on the ground, got a pistol, and shot the guy and shot him in the back because the guy was running out of the house at that time. And he shot him in the back and killed him. And had told his son then at that point, hey, you got to like help me out if you could. Can you just put your hand on my chest because I'm bleeding? I'm calling the police to help me out in the ambulance, but I'm going to bleed out if you don't hold your hand on me. So the son saved his life, and he said the main thing he could think about when he came in the hospital, came out of consciousness in the ER, and the news was coming on was, please don't say I like attacked a black person and I'm like the new what's his name, the white officer.
Eric, yeah, the one that not Eric Garner, the one in Charlotte that shot the guy running behind.
Michael Brown.
Michael Brown. There was another one that was like. There's like a million. Yeah. You know, we can go through the list because there's always another story.
And that's all he's worried about.
Which is proportion, which we say is it's not proportionate to white people, but you know, I see a lot of videos of white people talking to cops very, very aggressively, and I see black people talking to white or black cops aggressively too, and I see a different type of approach with them. I do see that a lot, and I'm not just saying that that's just because obviously I'm not watching every single incident.
That could be the narrative.
But it does seem that, and I've been around, and I have friends that are white, I have friends that are black, I am black. Like I see how they treat the difference. I think
for me, like personally, I can't say that.
Besides women against men.
Maybe like a car situation being pulled over, like I don't feel like black cops have treated me any differently because I was black, but I also have a white stepfather, and I grew up my whole life seeing how he was treated versus like people in my family. So it was like direct in my life. It wasn't just like I perceived this, I saw this with my own eyes. So that's why for me it's like it is a real thing.
Like I said,
I don't feel treated well by cops.
With me,
you don't?
No, I mean, I say with me, I got treated better, but than my white friends by white cops. They treated me better.
So,
cops didn't treat you.
I'm telling you.
Remember his
I had
story?
clean points.
You had some crazy stories. Your stories of weight. If you listen to the podcast on when they
Georgia,
see us,
when I was in Georgia. Yes.
That seemed like that was. Stuff like that makes me say, why are cops utilize?
But he told me the bottom line at the very end, though. That's why I respect him for doing that. Because he knew I was a good dude, and you are a good, clean dude. He's like, but I can tell just by, after it was all said and done, he's like, all right, let me tell you what the deal is. And I'm like, and once he told me the deal, I was like, okay, it makes sense.
He told you that.
Black dude, Maryland tags in the high drug traffic area, which I found out later was a very high drug traffic area I was at. Yeah. It was near my work. Mm-hmm. So he was like, yo, I got you. He just saw you and
said, you're black, you have Maryland plates, you got to be a drug trafficker.
And I keep talking about that scene in Crash with the deputy and the older cop.
Are cops using unnecessary force on people?
Yeah, but
especially black people.
No, I agree. But I told you the other day, he told me the bottom line, and he's pretty much when it was all said and done, he said, "Look, man, when after hours of spending with this guy, he said, only reason I pulled you over because you had Maryland tags and you're in a high drug traffic area. You know what I mean? Young guy, I put two and two together. I pop guys like this all the time." And I was like,
"And you're comfortable with that?"
If I, like I said,
you were on your way home to a birthday party,
and I told you before, look, I couldn't be a cop because I'm a person that kind of sees, and I see it repetitive over and over again. I'm going to get in a mode eventually. 20 years of doing it, I'm going to be like, okay.
We have a right to unreasonable search and seizure, like that, and I think that's unreasonable.
We do or don't?
We do.
Unreasonable.
We do have a right to not be searched unreasonably.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm sorry if I said that.
Yeah, I was like,
so that's garbage. Yeah, I'm against over policing and a lot of this stuff.
Right.
And police stops like that.
Oh no, I'm totally against over policing.
You just don't like the racial
that's why I'm not a
dialogue.
I don't think he sees it that way. He doesn't see that.
You don't think it's substantiated?
I don't think it's a race thing. I think it's a cop overdoing it thing. I think
hot
dogs are garbage. Like they do a lot of things that are bad, and like I don't think they discriminate. I think
I think cops need more training.
There's some bad cops, but there's mostly good cops.
Yeah, I agree.
But just like with every powerful institution, they protect the ones who stray out of line.
Right.
So like, and everybody has to stand in solidarity. This happens with all the unions and all large organizations.
That's right.
The teachers unions do the same stuff.
Yep.
Heck, the Catholic Church
Medical.
does the same thing. Like
don't.
they protect the in-group. And that's how it goes. And the cop is just
That's
another
fair. I
union,
mean,
and I don't like those either.
I disagree. I do think that there needs to be some sort of. I think cops need to see a lot. Like, go watch When They See Us. If you're a cop, watch that. Watch and say to yourself, "Am I the type of cop that would do this to innocent boys? Am I the type of cop that would not, that would instead of like." Trying to diffuse a situation, I would incite it more and make it a bigger situation. Am I the type of cop that sees a Hispanic person and automatically thinks drug trafficker? Am I the type of cop that sees a black woman and sees something, sex worker or something? Whatever the case is, these preconceived notions. And am I the type of cop that gives the white person a benefit of the doubt? Like, you have to start just. We all have to do the work, each and every one of us. Black people, they say that, black people say, we can't be racist. We may not be able to be racist, but we can have prejudice.
That's right.
Right? So we all have to do it. Black, brown, Spanish, Jewish, we all have to do it and check ourselves, because that's how we can live in a society with each other and not have these random issues all the time.
Are these black and white cops or black or white cops that you're speaking to?
I think about cops. I'm trying to think of cops as blue.
Because you're
I'm
saying
thinking of
that-
cops as blue.
Okay,
I'm thinking of them
because
as blue. I'm
there's
trying
still black
because
people.
because I have a
I
friend.
think
I have a friend who's a
40%
black
of the-
cop. I had my
lot.
godmother.
I
My
think,
godmother.
I think it's
Yeah,
like
NYPD is
40% of
My
the
brother's
NYPD.
godmother's
Oh, yeah. I've seen a
husband
lot of
was
minority
like a
police
big,
officers.
I don't know what
women,
you call him, a lieutenant or whatever.
But it
And-
doesn't feel like you're
But he knew
including
what he would
everybody.
see.
It feels
But you know what
like
it
it's
is? You know what it is?
a color thing.
You know what it is?
I don't
Can
think
I say
is.
why
Yeah.
it is? Because
I said it's not a color thing,
like I said, my brother's godfather, who was a lieutenant, had so many issues. He's a black man. He's a dark-skinned man, looked like Denzel. Everyone used to think he was old. I used to always think he looked like Denzel because he has the same old school Denzel. And the issue with him was that, he would get into, like, if he didn't have his police uniform on, he would get harassed by cops. There was they had guns pointed at him and all this stuff in the middle of this, like, he was just, I forgot what the story was, but I just remember him telling all these stories that used to happen to them all the time.
Did he have his gun on him?
He did, and he had his shield, and he had his thing to show them. But it was always like they were always.
Why does he
they-
have to do that?
But he always, just like I told you guys about my friend that is that was a DA who literally had to switch cars because he was getting tired of being pulled over all the time in his suit when he was on the way to work because they thought that he was a drug dealer. It's like, why? Why should he have to go through that? Because he's a black man and he's young. And he's just driving.
But it goes back to something we said earlier. It was 12% of the 13% of the black community commits 52% of the crime. So that's a lot of crime happening in one part of one area.
So we have to address
continue
that.
to do that. So
It's
you're
not-
saying
it's not-
continue
No,
to do
we
that.
have to address
You
that
gotta address
problem.
the crime issue. That's the thing.
We
with
have
the black
to
community.
address
I told
why
you the
that
other time.
happens.
So you're saying, what do you say?
I said this is the best solution for policing bad policing is you say there's bad policing in the black community, right?
Okay.
We'll clean the black community up to the point where you have no crime in the black community.
Address
then
the
when a cop
pipeline
comes
to
in there,
crime.
and a cop even comes into the neighborhood, you're like, what are you doing in our neighborhood?
So you want us to be perfect, but white people can continue to do crimes and enjoy their lives
No,
and
if you live in a trailer park and you're acting a fool, you need to get the cops up and called on you. And things
Right,
need to
right,
get done.
but
But
your
if you're living
solution
in a
is
nice
not even-
neighborhood and nothing's happening and it's quiet and people have a dog barking, it's like, can you
people
call
in
the
the
police
nice neighborhood
a
have
dog's
lots
barking?
of crimes.
Yeah,
It's
that-
just different.
yeah,
It's not. It may not be
different, though, but
shootings.
Nobody's shootings. No drive-bys. So why does a cop need to be
But we
in
have
my
to
neighborhood
address the
if it's not a
reasons
violent
for
crime
that.
right there? Like you got to
What
call the
about-
police
there's-
if it's something.
There
like,
could be a violent crime domestically. There
course.
could be a domestic thing in a
call the
nice.
police, and the police then comes into the neighborhood. You can hit the gate to let him in, and here he comes going in. Hey, Mr.
can't.
Police officer.
All right, let's get.
I think it's a part of. There's this one point that I wanted to build
Okay,
on this
please.
whole
Baltimore's
conversation.
not like that.
Because we're talking about this. These are threats to the black community, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about police threats to the black community.
Yeah.
I don't think the raw number of every time a police kills any person, it's a horrific event, and that police should absolutely be reprimanded, and it's the worst thing in the world. They should be stripped from his badge if he incorrectly killed somebody. I
Yeah.
think that.
I totally agree.
But the total raw numbers of black people that I think are killed by cops isn't
Right.
very big. If
Right.
I had to list the top 5 things that are hurting the
Affecting-
black community,
I would agree with
I
you.
wouldn't put it in the top 5.
Okay, I agree with you.
Nope.
I
would
wouldn't
totally
put
agree.
police violence in the
And
top
I
5.
don't think we've
But I
said-
think that
are
gets
we-
lost in the conversation sometimes. And
All the
this
time.
is something to be upset about, but we should also take these frustrations in any community and try to put it towards something big. And I know this is a whole big conversation, but let's not try to get into it.
No, I totally agree with you. And we don't.
And
and I don't think. Do you think that's that's not even on my top 10 list of problems that are affecting the people in people of color in general. So okay, let's get into. You want to get into some topics because I feel like we've been going into some policies.
Wait, so what am I? Am I like a liberal or conservative? We went through the policy.
You're moderate. You're a moderate, but I'd like to hear what are you more conservative on? Like, why do people like get so mad at you?
Fiscally, bro, the money.
But it's not even that. Like, even some of these, I guess, social issues, I felt you were leaning conservative, like guns.
I never thought. That's interesting. I never recognized guns as like a social issue, but like,
yeah. So,
I just think like I'm very pro-gay. Like super cool with all that stuff.
Okay.
So
trans people also
what is that?
Rights.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean,
what's libertarian?
Libertarian.
I feel like that's like
I am for small government. That's my thing. Like I think the government's full of corrupt bureaucrats that don't know their foot from their hand and they're just complete garbage. Like Bill de Blasio, I think our city's mismanaged. They're mismanaged our funds. I'm talking specifically about the MTA. We know there's a ton of corruption. People are racking up all the overtime.
Is not.
That's Cuomo.
I'm just ranting off about all the bureaucrats.
New York City ran here.
Yeah, and he has his own corruption scandals with the NYPD, and then with his wife mismanaging funds. We could run through this.
Why he runs for president, and he's not going to win. There's no chance.
Yeah, so there's all that stuff.
Okay.
Sorry. I think you're an independent thinker.
Did you want to talk about before? I mean, we're going to get into the topic, but do you want to quickly talk about what your stance on marijuana and like legalizing cannabis? Okay.
So here's the thing. I think it's worked very successfully already in other states. So there's already like the groundwork for a way to make it make sense. I'm a free market capitalist. I'm into this stuff, and I also think that instead of wasting tax dollars in over policing and arresting who knows what for just the whole approach and going through the whole thing, it's just a waste of tax dollars. Let's reverse that, turn it into a business so we can start taking tax dollars in. One more other point on this. I thought this was such a low-hanging fruit kind of thing for Donald Trump to do. I thought Donald Trump was like the outsider, right? Like populist outsider.
Second term.
Who's going to be able to do something like this? Low-hanging fruit, legalize weed.
He didn't even start. He didn't even try, right?
No. You got CBD. CBD's legalized. You can go to get CBD.
That's garbage, man. That's garbage.
It is.
I don't care about that. I don't care about that.
Was that Trump?
We're moving forward.
Was that Trump?
That was Trump.
I don't know. I
think that's
credit. I think that's state rights.
It's like
but just the bigger thing. I'm against making things illegal.
It's federal now.
Yeah.
Is it federally?
It's CBD. You can get CBD.
Why do you say CBD is garbage?
You can go online right now and get CBD anywhere.
It didn't work on my son, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not engaging with marijuana to get a CBD high.
Yeah, right? no. CBD, and when it comes to what it's used for, it's not going to get you high. It's just for. I'm just saying, for like people with mental disorders.
So the idea is I'm against making things illegal. Not all the time, but a good rule of thumb. I don't think it's efficient. We just make a black market for things. This is one of the same things of why I'm also pro-choice until 12 weeks, because I think that gives you a certain amount of time to do it, because if we do make it only pro-life, you have no opportunity to do it. It's just going to disproportionately affect poor people who are the people who are going to get harmed by this. I don't want to disproportionately affect poor people like that. So
I love that you say that. I just wish that you're a woman saying that, because I honestly feel like men should really not, just like I don't talk about what you shouldn't do as a man, I don't feel like a man should tell a woman what they should do with their body. That's it. I agree that, you have your right to your opinion, but I do feel like until you are a woman that has to carry a child and know the burden of having the child, because what happens with everyone that keeps saying, pro-life, 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 when the lives are here, no one has a solution for these unwanted children, that are coming into the world.
Did you ever see that show, and I don't know if there's any truth to it, like, I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant?
No, I never heard of it.
I never heard it.
I have heard of that show. I've heard stories of women giving birth who didn't know they were pregnant.
Right. So, I don't know any validity to this show, but there's a show.
Let's just assume that she gave birth not knowing.
No, let's just assume she went 16 weeks and didn't know she was pregnant, and she found out she was pregnant. And it's like, oh my God, I didn't know I was pregnant, and I don't want to have this baby. Like, you're basically saying, too bad.
You've had children. Is that...
It's not possible.
Okay.
It's not possible. Okay. But I'm just like...
It is possible.
How do you know? You're not...
Listen, I'm a biologist major. I'm a biology major. I study this stuff.
Right.
I've had two... I've had 2 children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your biology and her biology are 2 different things. I'm sorry.
So,
It's just there's certain.
but I don't know. I'm just saying, you asked me personally,
Yeah.
for my body, it would be impossible for me to be 16 weeks or whatever weeks pregnant and not know. But I'm just saying, we've talked about abortion here, and I always, maybe they are so rare, but I don't care if it's one case. One is enough for someone to need options, is all I'm saying.
Can I have one quick rebuttal?
Sure.
When is it too late? If ever.
I think, you know what, the only thing, as a woman speaking, I would say, because I was just watching Orange is the New Black this weekend.
My sister was watching it. I waited for her. She was watching the last season.
I started from the beginning again.
Having a sister, you
get
end up
back
catching
to it.
things with a sister. You're like,
Right.
you end up watching.
You're right. But can I just say one thing? One of the girls, one of the women who was like kind of like she's like, I hate to say it, but the white trash character, she had like 5 abortions, and the nurse said to her, wow, 5 abortions. We should just give you a punch-in card so you can just keep on. And then I said to myself, is 5 abortions too much? I'm like, yes, that's huge. That's like, what's going? This is not a game show.
If 5 abortions is too much, why isn't 1? Because
I know, but I do think
a bit like that, that's unkosher territory,
right? But I see the way I see it. It's your.
But wait, can we get an amount of weeks?
If today you
number of weeks.
But this is going to get like sensitive. I mean, for me,
she would say the same thing to you. This is my body. I can have my
wait, keep in mind,
right. No,
weeks
I know,
viable.
but that's me judging that show, judging it. Right, but again, that's her business.
Yes.
You know what I'm
But
saying? That's her business. She keeps doing that. She needs to get to a place where someone talks to her like, look. You do this again, it's harmful for her body. She's the one that's going to have issues with her own body.
But that's her body.
So,
and that's her right because it's her body. That's how when you start.
That's how I see it too. It's her right. I personally don't think that's something that a woman should do.
I think it's hard. I got
2 issues.
I have said that I've personally my stance has always tried to be before the 6-week period, but I'm also a victim of sexual abuse, and I had to unintentionally have an abortion at 9 weeks. I didn't want to at that time period, but I also known someone who did it at 20 weeks, and I was thoroughly sickened by it. So I don't know. It's really hard to tell a woman to think about a number like that. So I don't know. But
can we agree that past viability, which I actually wanted to, I think it's 23 weeks, 22, somewhere
24, isn't it? 24.
It's only going down, but
it's going down now.
I mean, we're able to care from there.
Oh, okay.
Sooner.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
You would agree that past the 24-week mark is not cool. It's not okay, illegal, because then you recognize that we're killing
uncomfortable.
it.
I'm uncomfortable.
No, but we should make it illegal, because that's a different thing.
Make it illegal. I say everybody has a really bad circumstance in life, and I don't want a child in America to have to suffer.
But then you're killing it. It's viable, and you're killing it.
I just don't want a kid to suffer.
What if the kid had cancer?
Yeah, I don't want the kid to suffer.
It could spread to the mom.
Wait. If the kid had cancer, kill it, guys. We're getting in dangerous territory.
I'm saying the baby, the fetus had cancer, and it could
not
spread to
the
the mom and the mom. I just don't know. I don't know enough about this.
It's very fringe.
I get it, but don't you think that it's
I don't know.
The woman has to deal with these issues, and the child being born and being, let's say the kid becomes, she doesn't take care of the kid and becomes a violent murderer that shoots up a convenience store or whatever. These people, if you can't be a mom, don't be a mom. If you can't be a parent, don't do it. Now,
how many great artists and great musicians and actors and all these athletes came out of a broken household? And they said their mom was a crackhead. They didn't, and they fought through it and became Tupac.
Listen, like I said, it's not an easy answer. Look,
so
I personally don't. Again, if you're going to ask me for my personal body, I wouldn't. That's not something that I would want to do. But I'm also over the age that where it's like, I'm an adult. So it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm against the abusive use of abortion.
Yeah,
I think so too.
But you're saying, should we?
Here's the final point on this. Okay. I kind of think it's despicable to have any abortions past 23 or 24. Past the point of viability is absolutely despicable, and I'll explain to you why. Because at that point, you literally actually have to murder the child and deliver it regardless.
Yeah.
The baby doesn't disappear. So.
And I had a goddaughter who survived after 25 weeks.
Whatever fringe event you want to say is the case for the exception for the woman's life's in danger, which is extremely, extremely fringe. Most of the cases is you literally have to murder the child and then deliver it anyway. Yeah. So that's why it's especially disgusting and despicable, because you have to deliver the baby anyway. And then give it up for adoption, do something with it. I'm all about giving opportunities. That's what I agree.
Give it up to adoption.
And some of the most iconic black men that I could think of came from homes where it's thank God that my mom didn't have the abortion.
Dr. Ben Carson.
Or white people.
Dr.
So
Ben
what
Carson.
about
Or white people. One of my friends
Sure.
in college, she was a product of her parents. Her mother was raped.
But this
and she's
disproportionately affects
living.
black people.
Redhead.
Why don't we
She
ever
doesn't
talk
look like
about
any
how
of her
this
siblings.
disproportionately affects black people?
Like our fathers in the
Every
house.
other concern, it disproportionately affects black people, and we talk about it.
But it shouldn't, because it's in
abortions are specific.
What was your
Okay,
point?
go ahead.
Yeah, it's a specific disproportionate amount of women who are black are having abortions. I think it's something like African American
Why
women
do you think that
make up
is?
40%.
Why do you think that is?
It's because of where the clinics are and where the
No,
black
it's not
communities.
it's not
Wait,
a
let me
game
finish.
show.
Let me finish.
Let me finish.
Where are most black? Where are the population densities of black peoples? They're in inner cities, and where have they focused in inner cities? I also don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
But Margaret Sanger.
Yeah.
Margaret Sanger had some racist undertones, and I do.
So does every
They're
every
growing-
every person in America.
cut 'em
Listen,
down,
That's
cut 'em
gonna
down
be,
because they're
but
growing
let's
like
talk
weeds.
about the
If
disproportionate
a black
amounts of it.
woman wanted to get an abortion, she will travel to get one. The question is,
Sure.
why are these women in the position where they think they need to get an
The
abortion?
influence on them.
Influence?
How-
You
The
think that's
influence
like a
on the culture.
it's
and
like
influence
not
on these
not
women,
the
yeah.
fact that
What?
most of them
No,
probably don't
no.
feel like they can support the
They
child.
can't because they
Well,
have
that's
because
wait.
it-
Do we
They're
have
putting themselves-
economically?
They're putting
No
themselves.
father.
They're putting
No
themselves
father.
in the position to be unsuccessful and have to make
Exactly.
these tough decisions.
See, but those thugs I told you
be,
earlier.
be responsible. Back in the day, when you used to get somebody pregnant, you used to just bite the bullet, get married,
But why is
wait, let
that-
me finish.
okay.
Have a shotgun wedding. And commit to the baby. And why is this good? Because guess what? We're raising the next generation of Americans. That's why it's important to bite the bullet. Hey, even if you're not, nobody's ever ready to be a parent. I've
Right.
never been a parent. I don't know if you could attest to that more than I
became
can.
at 19 years old a parent.
And exactly. And I mean, that's some of the. You grow up quick, and it's good to grow up quick, and it's good that people are raising the next generation of great Americans, is what I think. And I think it's a travesty that instead of having Native Americans born and increasing our population, I'm okay with legal immigration, and I like legal immigration, but what about the people here who are dying? And that's a part of it.
Exactly.
But I feel like we put too much on the woman, though.
Real quick, my mom's generation, when, like I said before, just my mom's generation, when she's in high school, when a girl got pregnant, she had to leave the school out of embarrassment. That's how much we changed. When I grew up, 6th grade, they had a baby shower for a girl for getting pregnant in the cafeteria.
Goodbye.
That's in Baltimore. Shout out to Baltimore.
Okay.
Real talk.
Speaking of, did you want to add something to that?
No.
Okay. I'm good. All right. Let's
We don't talk about like the Georgia Alabama stuff. It's crazy
You know
how
what?
we listen to a little bit of the debate,
You're right.
and nobody cares about abortion anymore.
We have talked about it on
Wait,
this
are
show.
you? Wait, what are you saying about that? Because do you care about that?
I just think it's interesting. I like
Wait,
pointing
but
out.
what do you?
I think they're
are
clowns.
you saying that?
Because
you said that
they're
earlier.
Democrats and their voters are not in Georgia.
It's all virtue signaling. I'm trying to explain to you. That's why I think so lowly
but that's
of a lot of the candidates.
But that's a good point. That's a really good point, though. We're not talking right now. They're trying to win the primaries. They're not going to like. We're not really talking to. I hate to say it. I don't know if this is one of their political strategies. But according to what you just said, or referring to what you just said, Maxine, they're talking to their base. Like, my base is in Georgia. Unfortunately, we'd like it to. It's purple now, but it isn't there. And right now, they can't get to them. Right now, they have to kind of get themselves their footing. So obviously, abortion is a hot topic. It was a hot topic, but
last week's news cycle, and then we're
But
done
it
with
is-
it.
I mean, it
next
really-
news cycle,
But let's-
on to the next one, and it's over.
Listen,
It's too risky
honestly,
for them to talk about.
It just doesn't make sense right now.
It is what it is.
Not yet. I think they'll bring it up. I think they'll bring it up when they have to go against Trump. But I don't think
I
it
doubt
makes
it.
I
sense.
wouldn't hold my breath.
And,
Yeah.
Okay.
and real quick, one last statement on this is women. You said earlier that how you don't want men to talk about when it comes to women and being a woman and womanhood and all that stuff. But women need to stop talking about manhood all the time because y'all do that way too much with this old toxic masculinity. What do you know about masculinity? You don't know nothing about
You're
masculinity.
doing it right now.
So don't talk about masculinity. I'm real talking right now.
No.
I see a young brother would be like, "Yeah, man, keep talking, man. He'd be feeling this."
You don't think that's a
Scared
thing,
of it.
Chris?
At
At all? To some degree?
But yeah, there's toxic femininity.
Yeah, I agree.
But we don't use that term against y'all because we said that. You'd be
Y'all
like, don't be talking
should.
about womanhood.
Y'all
Don't be talking.
should.
You're not a woman. You don't know about this. And we'd be like, okay, whatever. Leave it
Totally.
alone.
Do you
think
feel
that's a
like
real
And
women?
y'all killed the Boy Scouts too, by the way, and that was messed up.
Do you
Killing the Boy
feel like
Scouts.
women have been
infiltrating men stuff? Yes, both everything from
no,
movies.
that's not my question. I'm
Like, is it to the movement of feminists?
Yes,
No,
it is.
but
You took Ghostbusters. You stole Ghostbusters.
I'm trying to explain to like what women have to go through. Like because you feel a little bit uncomfortable with the term toxic masculinity. How about all these women that dealt with like issues at work with their boss, grabbing their butt or trying to seduce them or and not being able to quit because this is the job,
or
this is their
work in the
paycheck.
first place,
or what's that?
Or work in the first place,
right?
They were considered, your job is to be at home cooking my meal.
Like toxic, the idea of toxic masculinity, I think, is becoming more a mainstream conversation because it's media.
Yeah,
it's infused, but really the idea of it's just that women have had enough. It's like at some point you guys have to like stop. Enough. We get it. You're men. We get you guys have testosterone. We get go play football. Go enjoy yourself. But stop with the trying.
But you're making beta males doing that. You understand that, right? Look at New York City. Look at Manhattan.
Beta male.
Beta beards, beta males. Yes, all of them. I see them all the time on the A train on the way to Manhattan with their legs crossed like a woman, and they talk like Starbucks and get a frappuccino.
I can't.
And it's like,
that seems a little homophobic. Please.
No, he's not gay at all. When I moved here, I thought they were gay and it was okay. I was totally okay. I was just a gay man. And then I saw him kissing a woman. I'm like, oh, he's got a girlfriend.
What's wrong with gender roles being more fluid?
And then she's more alpha and he's the beta.
But didn't you say your mom was? Didn't you say your mom? I'm not trying to be personal.
She wants an alpha male all the time.
I know, but didn't you say your mom was a little bit? She was tough. Like she was a tough.
But my dad was an alpha.
But still, your mom was tough, right?
Yeah, but my dad was still alpha. He was still head of household. He still sat at the head of the table when he ate dinner. He had the big piece of chicken. My dad was no ifs, ands, or buts.
The big piece of chicken. Yes. That was it. Okay,
that was important.
I want the big piece of chicken in my house.
You still want the big piece of chicken?
In my household, I want the big piece of chicken.
That's fine. You're a male. If you listen, you've worked up a hunger. You're hungry. If today I want a big piece because I've worked up a hunger, can I have a big piece? Or is it like, no, that's for the man? Like these things are like the 1950s.
No. When you're talking about a family here and you got
I want my queen
involved,
to treat me like a king.
Hey, thank you.
You want
your son.
But what about you?
Hold on. Hold on.
Of course.
And you want your prince. Okay. You want your prince to see a king. So you know it's not to become a good king one day.
To see a king.
A great king.
Yeah, as long as, but I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman treating her husband or her boyfriend like he's
subservience.
Oh, I don't know about
that.
I wanted to say something. You guys hear servant. You guys hear servant.
That wasn't the word I was going to say.
Women always hear servant when I say that word. They always hear servant. I'm not saying servant. Subservience is not being a servant. It's, for example, this is why I went to a church, and this is this a little quick story here, right? And they had women, and like, this is only for the married people. This is not for people, I don't care if y'all been together for 20 years. It's only for married couples. So if your husband's a wife, so you guys go in the area, on the subway or something like that, a robber comes out with a gun. He pulls the gun out, and he's I'm going to ask the women first. He says, the gun comes out, he's about to shoot. You have a chance to block the bullet from your husband. Would you block the bullet and save his life and lose your life? Raise your hand if you would. And one half little raise came up, and that was it. Then he's like, now men, same question. If you got robbed, gun came out, shot, you could block the bullet. Would you block it and save your wife's life? All hands came up quick. And he said, listen. Okay. He said, you know what that is? He says, because a man is raised to protect his wife, protect his family. So when a bullet comes, that's my wife, that's my family, I'm protecting my family.
Not that he has the higher chance to live.
Listen. Now a woman, she thinks, bullet comes, quick thought is, what about my children? Who's going to raise my children? Who's going to take care of my children? Who's going to protect my home? Because that's her nurturer inside of her.
So she protects her kids?
So women are natural nurturers. Men are natural protectors and hunters. So we got to play our roles. And when we play them accordingly, we work together very well. But women are jacking it up lately. You stole Ghostbusters, ladies.
Next topic. Oh, my God. Did you like Oceans? No,
I didn't even see it.
Do you like the new Men?
I'm not going to see Golden Eye either.
Do you like the new Men in Black?
Men in Black. I didn't see nothing.
It's not even a man.
Nope. And they all bombed, by the way. They all bombed.
Because men are weird. Men get so weird about, like, who cares?
Because that's ours.
Are you mad about Little Mermaid being black?
No, not at all. I mean, that's Little Mermaid. I mean, but Boy Scouts. I'm mad about Boy Scouts. Give us Boy Scouts back. We can't have Boy Scouts. We can't.
All right, let me get out of this. I'm sorry, guys. This is what we do.
All right.
Yeah.
Really quick, let's get into our favorite. Well, he's not your favorite president.
My boy, 45.
Right. So he's gotten himself into some more hot water, right? So we heard about the
jacuzzi though.
Yeah, the
Squad.
Congress. What's that?
The squad.
The squads.
Oh,
Him tweeting the squad and telling them to go back to their country.
He didn't tell them anything. He just made a statement, and they assumed he meant them.
They assumed.
Of course.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also recently heard Trump, I guess, send these nasty tweets at the Oversight Committee, Congressman Elijah Cummings of Baltimore. He refers to his district as a rat infested, or I should say, let me rephrase this.
Yes, get it right.
He refers to Chris's hometown as the district as rat infested and unlivable. So I really want to know what your thoughts are. I really have to start. You know who I have to start with, because Baltimore is where you're
Baltimore
from.
Ravens, baby.
And
Ray Lewis.
my question to you is: does the president have the right to speak this way about a city in America?
I mean, he supposedly called another country a
city in America. We're talking about America.
No, but I'm using it for example before I build up to that. So when people came after him and said, "Oh my gosh, how do you tell another country that? How dare you say it to another country? You are sick to." So now he's saying about his own country, and you guys are still saying like, "How dare you?" He's like the man speaking his mind. He said, "If something's a poop hole, I'm going to say it's a poop hole. If it's another country, if it's in my country, it needs to be fixed regardless. And Baltimore needs to be fixed. It's a poop hole. You can smell Baltimore before you see it, and that is a fact. If anybody's visited there, it's a horrible city. Crime rate's insane." And then Inner Harbor's nice. If you go to Baltimore, go to Inner Harbor. The water's right there. Nice restaurants. Seafood's amazing. You'll love it. Don't ever leave that area. Because if you go, you don't cruise around Baltimore.
Well, is that where you lived, in Ann Arbor?
I live near the Inner Harbor. I live in Baltimore County, around the outskirts.
Don't go there too. But
I
don't
used
go
to
there.
hang out there when I was younger. I used to go to
No, I know, but
clubs
should we
and
stay where your family lives, where your dad lives? Should we go visit
If you're
there?
visiting, yes. I mean, definitely go visit. You can go to the county. Maryland, as a whole state, is not a bad state. Like, there's a lot of
But
parts.
Baltimore is horrible.
But Baltimore City, not the county. Baltimore City. You are in the
Is that
hood.
his fault though?
Not Cummings, but
Elijah Cummings.
he's been in charge for a long time. He hasn't done anything, and there's a lot of congressmen who haven't done anything in that city for a very long time. That's how he
Congressman
got that bad.
or
I mean, what about local city
mayors and the
council? Like
governors?
he just.
I mean,
Yeah, he's
I say congressman.
But
not
he's
mayor,
just coming
governor.
at this man.
We could talk about the governors and the mayors. I think
Can
the
we
last
talk
three
about,
were
like, what-
outed,
let's-
and they were all Democrats, and they were all charged on corruption
No, I know.
cases.
There were some. I literally.
So
looked
yeah,
up-
let's talk about
There's
it.
a lot of.
Yep,
But listen,
a lot of black
listen.
women too, by the way.
Let's be not that's you're talking about mayors, but I'm talking about if we're talking about like governors, they're all white men, and there were a lot of Democrats.
Mayors
I think
I'm
it's
talking
from like 69 to like 2003 were all Democrats. But you can be a racist Democrat. We all know that. You can have like precumbents to crime. You can have you could be corrupt. I don't know Baltimore politics very well. I know more New York politics, but I can tell you that, if the president of the United States was talking about New York City, where obviously he's from New York, and I'm so mad that he's from New York, but if he was talking about New York City, and I have family from Queens, I would be so enraged because I live here, and how dare you speak on the public, like where everyone in the world can hear you, and talk about a state, not a country, and if you talk about
not a state, no, not
I'm
a
sorry,
state,
a city.
Okay,
a
crime
city.
capital for 10 years in the 90s, by the way.
New York was where he was from
smaller
too.
than Brooklyn.
New York
a city
too.
smaller than Brooklyn.
I understand.
New York City has 5 boroughs.
I
And
get
then we
it.
got tough
5
on
boroughs
crime.
in New York
I get
City.
it. I
5
get it.
boroughs in New
What?
York City.
And then we got tough on crime.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk
Giuliani,
about
Republican.
But we'll talk about that too. And I knew you guys were going to go into all this. I knew you were going to do this. But what I have to say about this is that, first of all, you brought up something that I thought was interesting. You mentioned him talking about poop holes, and the countries that he was talking about were countries that were.
That's not confirmed.
But that
either.
was I mean, everybody in the room said. A lot of people in the room said that.
A lot of people said Trump said a lot of things.
Honestly, we knew what he meant. Like, we know. We talked about this at length. We know he doesn't. He said, why don't we get more Swedes in the country now? Guess what? Sweden doesn't even care about him. They won't even let A$AP Rocky out. So, listen, my thing is, I think that if there is some validity to what he's saying, shouldn't you rephrase the way you speak? Shouldn't this be like a meeting? Like, listen,
a lot of other countries that are
well,
white
shouldn't you be
populated,
as the president saying, listen, we need to get the governor in here of Maryland. We need to get the
Why
mayor.
isn't the mayor doing it though? Why hasn't the governor been doing it?
No, because you're the president of the United States, and this is your country. You're trying to make it
city.
better.
This is your city.
But you're right there. It's 30 minutes
you
away.
Live there. You live with us. Do something.
but he's 30 seconds away from them. He's in D.C.
Exactly.
Why can't he just get them?
Look what the country's going through. He has time for little Baltimore City. Baltimore City needs to be controlled by a mayor or
That could
governor.
take 2 hours of his time to literally start having a conversation.
Now we're having a conversation about
I think there are two important points here. So one thing I just wanted to ask you real quickly. Let's say a Democratic candidate described Baltimore, the situation is there, as like a third world country. Would you think that is racist?
Wait, what are we semantic? Okay, so you're saying if they called it a third world country,
Described it as.
No, I don't think I would, because I can describe certain parts of Alabama, Mississippi as third world country, and Kentucky. No, because I'm talking about people where predominantly white people live, and I would say it's a third world country because a lot of them, there's.
If Trump said it, do we think it would be racist?
No, because Bernie Sanders did say that about Baltimore last year. So I just wanted to make sure that we were being like equal opportunity about this.
Totally.
Also, like the Baltimore Sun also described the area as like rat infested in the past.
Baltimore who?
The Baltimore Sun, like the local newspaper, there, have done studies. If you do like. And it's been a thing. Like, it is known to be rat infested. They have, like, series named after how rat infested these areas are. So when those papers do it and call it rat infested, are they racist?
No, I don't think they're. I think they're stating a. Hold on. I think they're stating a fact. Yeah, I do think they're stating a fact.
But when Trump does it, it just becomes racist.
Correct.
Okay. One last point. New Hampshire. New Hampshire is like a ton of white people and a ton of people are suffering from the opioid addiction. Trump has called out New Hampshire before.
What did he say?
He said like it was a drug infested, like something along the lines of drug infested. No, it was horrible rhetoric, and it's nothing that a president should say about an area. But here's my larger point. Trump's a bully. In general, Trump's a bully. I don't think he's a racist bully. I think Trump will dish it out to anybody. He's an equal opportunity guy who will give it out to anybody. He harps on black people. But he also harps on white people. He harps on everybody, all candidates across the board.
Totally fine with what you're saying, and I don't think
I feel that he does it more, and it's more in a condescending manner to black people, black officials, black urban areas. That's why it's it's a turnoff for us.
Did you see the video of the former mayor who's now getting in trouble for some kind of tax fraud she's involved in or whatever she's done? She's like a black woman mayor in Baltimore,
But anyways,
there
was a lot of governors
before she got removed by the police when she was still mayor. She was walking through Baltimore and she was like, when she's walking through, she's like, "Oh my gosh, this place smells horrible." She's like, "You smell the death and the rats," and she was just dissing Baltimore City on the local news.
Okay.
And people just said, "Who cares?" Moved on.
Right.
Now Trump says something that's less harmful rhetoric than that.
Okay.
And he's a racist.
He's the president of the United States.
And what is she?
He shouldn't be saying this stuff,
Is she a bigot? What is she? Is she a Nazi?
No.
I know you guys have different words.
I wouldn't consider her any of those things. I would think she's a foolish person for saying that. I would think she's
harmful enough for that.
No, but I would say she's foolish. That's foolish to say that about your constituents. I would say that's foolish. But I would say I will never outright say that President Trump is a racist. I don't see that. Okay. I try not to see that in him. Okay. I hope he's not. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But here's what I do see. I see an opportunist. I see the worst I see a con artist.
So do I
see an evil person who will do anything to keep himself and his family in power and rich. Really That's it. I don't see anything else. However, I see he's comfortable around black people. A racist can't be around blacks. People talk about, you told me about Mike Tyson. Yeah, he'll pay them. He'll work with them. He isn't Snoop Dogg. He's fine with black people being around. Successful black people. He's also, pay attention, people, he's also comfortable with rich white people. He's not comfortable with poor white people. Let's get that straight.
It's a classic.
A white person that's poor.
That's right.
Why haven't we seen them around him? He'll talk to them.
That's his whole base, though.
But he won't be they won't be. You won't see him giving them, having a beer with him. He's not going to do that.
At his rallies.
Why do you think he does his rallies that way? Why do you think he does his rallies that way? Why?
He's a narcissist.
Yeah. Think about all the other politicians who come in the community, who drink the beer, who have the hot dogs, who do all the local stuff.
He's a narcissist.
He will never do that with the people.
Trump doesn't drink too. Remember, he's not alcohol.
But he's also juice. But he doesn't do it. He will not. He's probably said, "I'm not getting in front of these people. I do not want them to touch me." He also is a germaphobe, so he's not going to do it. He does not care about his base. He'll never say it. The only way he will lose is if he gets caught saying something, mark my words, about his base. If they catch him, that's the only way. If you catch him saying something negative, horrible, like what Mitt Romney did, say something, but against his base, like, oh, I don't want those guys around me. Something like this, that's when we can actually go, Democrats can enjoy themselves.
Now, guess what?
But I don't know if we're going to catch that because he's too smart. He's too smart.
He's too smart.
He knows. He's a con artist. Con artists are really good.
He's a smart guy. I agree with you on that. But it's not that. It's because he has love for the country. That means you have love for its citizens.
Oh, Lord.
If you love the citizens,
don't really believe that.
I do believe he's done more. He's done more as a president than anybody I've seen in my entire lifetime that's been a president.
That's wrong.
He loves himself. He's done more. He stuck to his word. He said, I'm going to do this in his rallies. I'm going to do this for you guys. He's president. He's done it. He's done it.
I want to follow up.
Is the wall up? Did Mexico
do the wall? It's the Democrats stopping the wall. He's trying to come halfway with the Democrats and say, now meet me halfway at the wall.
Just get Mexico to pay for it, and we're fine. I have no problem. I think the Congress would have no problem giving him the money or moving forward with the wall if he comes through with the Mexico.
Would defecate themselves if Mexico had to pay for that wall. They would defecate
themselves. Guys, let's circle back to the issue at hand. We'll talk about Baltimore.
He's a Mexican Hitler.
Baltimore.
So let's talk about Baltimore.
We're getting so wow. I got into it with it.
You're talking over each other.
A couple of things to note here. So with the whole, there's a lot of people saying a lot of things about Trump being racist here. So let's talk about a couple of characters involved. So we have Donald Trump, Elijah Cummings, and now third we have Al Sharpton coming in.
Oh boy, talk about conmen.
And so when you guys were listing off the things about Trump, all I could think of the whole time was Al Sharpton. When you guys were saying like narcissist, like self-interested. So can we get do we all dislike? Does anybody here not dislike Al Sharpton? So does anybody here like Al Sharpton? And I wanted to ask, why would you? I want to list through a couple of bad things that he's done. Because
I know.
I think he's a really horrible person. So like the Crown Heights riots, where he led riots in Crown Heights that eventually actually killed a Jew.
How long ago was this?
Who cares how long ago?
No. I just want to know the years. But go ahead.
Oh, this was how he became relevant.
Right.
So I wanted to say 30 or 40 years ago. Don't quote me on it, but look it up.
Okay.
And then he also deals in some of the rape hoaxes, which are also some of the most horrible things, where he's falsely accused police officers of rape. And this is how he got his come up. So he peddles in rape hoaxes and hate hoaxes. So I implore you to look this up.
This was how long ago again?
30 or so years. Okay. But wait. Does this have an expiration date on being a race baiter, accusing people of rape?
You know what it has? You know what it is? I would say you have to let Charlemagne says this. You have to let Malcolm Little become Malcolm X, right? Because if we go by what Malcolm X was doing when he was younger, he was known as, pimp or all the things. He was dealing drugs. He had a bad past. However, when he got reincarcerated, and he changed his life. But Al Sharpton changed a lot of his ways. I think a lot of people said a lot about stuff. People also say people also say that he was also an informant. People also say he was an informant against the black community.
Let me tell you why that's despicable. Why don't you tell that to the families of the person whose child was murdered and the families of the people who are falsely accused of rape? I get what you're doing, and it sounds like a nice narrative. But from their perspective, yeah. How about we talk about the people whose lives were actually ruined? And I mean, maybe it's great if he didn't get in trouble for things that he did in the past, and he's able to turn them around now that he didn't get caught up in that. But he should have been caught up in that. And I don't think he's doing any better now, because I think he's still race baiting. He still does it nowadays.
Seriously?
If we look up, I think with this Elijah Cummings thing, he's race baiting. I don't think this is. Do you think this is an outright racist event by Trump, where we need a fake Reverend Al Sharpton to come in?
Yes.
Because he's not a real Reverend either, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so
but
just
can
wondering.
So here's what I think about Reverend Al Sharpton. I think Reverend Al Sharpton was a voice needed in the black community.
But was he responsible for race riots that led to the death of somebody? I mean,
no,
Google it and look it up.
I will. And I do know about. I heard about the crime. Okay, so here's where I would start with Al. Mr. Sharpton. I think that he is a necessary voice in the black community, because here's what has happened through Al Sharpton. There's a lot of talk about certain things that we would never talk about in public. He would bring up things that were happening in the community that were actually happening. At Luima, that was a real thing that happened. A police officer did
when you shoot 10 times in the dark, you're gonna get hit once, and that's what Al Sharpton is.
That's Dioulo. That's Dioulo. I'm talking about Abner.
No, I'm saying he's throwing blank at the wall to see what sticks, and King. 1 out of 10 times it hits,
King.
and that's
Sean
and
King
that's
was
what
shot
you're.
45 times.
But wait, that's what you're pointing to. Sean King isn't Sean King a white man?
The white guy Does Black Lives Matter?
Oh, Sean King. I'm thinking you're talking about Sean.
Not that football player. I'm talking about...
No. Sean in 90s, the one that was getting married the next day that took out his wallet and got shot 61 times.
No, I know you're talking about. I'm talking about that.
I'm just saying these are cases where, had it not been for Al Sharpton talking and saying something, getting people to talk about it, this would just keep happening.
Is a 10% accuracy rate good enough for you?
I don't.
Is a 10% accuracy rate good enough for you?
Is
10% good enough for you? Because that's as good as he's hitting. He's not hitting better than 10% right now. He's showing up to wherever race baiting is. It's despicable.
I'm sorry, I want to say one more thing. You think America would let this guy be able to go as far as he is to get an MSNBC show and do all this?
It's because people like you aren't speaking out. Let's speak out against this.
I would like to speak out. So,
let's hear it.
I love you, girl, but I'm not with you on this one. I'm sorry. I think he is so problematic, and I think honestly, if we're gonna say that, then people can say, oh, then just let go of what Trump did womanizing women 20, 30 years ago. I'm not okay with that.
If you change,
and also,
if you change,
he said it.
Wait, I'm not done yet. I also think that we are not giving credit to tens and hundreds of thousands of other Black activists that were trying to do just as much work.
Amen.
So,
one sitting right here in
girl,
front of you,
I'm just saying, if you do your research, there was a lot of them out there, and they were good people. So
forget the figureheads. It's all about the individuals.
I personally don't like, just like I don't like. There's a lot of Black media people that I don't want speaking on behalf of us. So,
guys, I think
we're getting.
Are we wrapping up here?
And we're done.
We're done.
Let's keep going. No, we're not. Let's bring it back.
It's okay. He's gonna mute this. Sorry, guys. We're listening to our outro. I think we're getting wrapped. We're gonna end this anyway. But I'd like to hear your point of what you were saying. Everyone's final points.
I mean, it's not just him. There's several, I think, problematic Black people out there that try to be the face and like the savior for us and speak on behalf of us, and I don't appreciate it. I mean, even Sean King, like there's a lot of people that I don't want speaking on behalf of me, and he's one of them.
Oh,
and Jesse Jackson's another one, and like Nas, my favorite rapper of all time.
Because there's really good ones out there that people don't really give enough exposure and credit.
Who?
I mean,
no, we can't think of anybody. Thank you.
That's because if you do your research, I mean, I'm not really like.
You guys all are talking about Al Sharpton.
No, I'm not in the forefront of the movement, but there are people who could sit here and speak like very, eloquently about them.
I could tell you one of my Black leaders, Thomas Sowell.
We can't. You guys can't talk about someone outside of Al Sharpton who's created a platform for different people. Even
other Carnage.
Oh gosh, what's that woman's name?
Man,
She was the woman's.
I'm gonna do my prep.
How about the women's movement? The woman that's
Linda Sarsour.
I'm sure she's a con artist.
No, she's Black.
I'm sure she's a Black artist.
The one who started Me Too.
Tamika Mallory.
Boom. Tamika came out of his organization. You know what I mean? Like
she rubs shoulders with anti-Semites.
I was just
and there you have.
So is this a good thing?
Who?
She's another one.
Do you think Linda Sarsour is?
Are you talking about? I was
going to say people think that. I don't. It's an allegation.
I thought you were going to say. Are you talking about Farrakhan?
We could have a long conversation.
Listen, Farrakhan.
And I could bring up. I could talk to you through things.
Farrakhan's poison.
We'll talk offline about all that.
I have to do my research.
Here's what we're going to do, guys.
Wait, I also implore all listeners to go look up the history of Al Sharpton because it didn't seem like we got a clear cut everything about him. But please look up.
I mean, I'm not denying his good.
No.
I'm not
but
denying
I didn't
his
go into
good.
enough good detail. I didn't go into enough detail.
I'm not
I think it's
denying
even
the man's
worse.
good. I'm just saying I'm not going to disregard the bad for the good. It doesn't outweigh it, and there's plenty of other people that don't have a problem.
But we don't. But none of us know the names of them. That's popular.
Maybe we
can help find them and put them on the forefront.
The whole point is that one person is
Frederick Douglass.
Oh, Frederick Douglass is a brilliant man.
You guys should be able to need some Black leaders. I mean, come on.
But no,
I'm not willing to die for the movement. He was.
No, I'm telling you right now. I'm dropping. This is what it is right here. This is what it is for the Black community. We have great, throughout history, a lot of great Black leaders. A lot of Black leaders throughout history. I can name 50 easy. My thing is this: is what Nas said is why do Blacks need leaders? Whites don't got nobody leading them. We don't need leaders.
Yes, we do.
We don't. We
have American leaders.
Because we're still dealing with oppression.
We need a community. We need community. We need community.
We're disadvantaged.
We have a community amongst each other. You don't need somebody speaking.
There's cultural differences that someone needs to bring to the forefront.
For you to say that and having roots in this country and knowing the history. We need leaders. We haven't had it at the same pace.
We need messengers here. I'm
Al
a Black conservative.
Is the wrong leader.
Maybe he is. Maybe he is. But I would just say, until we have someone that is that can do what he has done in the positive way. Like these negative things that you're talking about, I have to look up to see where, what
and we will.
And we will.
We're fair.
Really?
We'll
Yeah,
do that.
Al Sharpton's whole life is a negative.
No, it's not.
let him
it's
look it up.
not.
Let him
It's
look it
not.
up.
It's
No, please
not.
look at the legacy of Al
specific
Sharpton.
claims we're
Look at-
saying.
I will
So-
please, and we'll
Yeah,
talk
to be
about
fair,
it.
okay.
He's
So
terrible.
we definitely need to bring Elad back because like he was amazing. Like
No,
I
I learned
think
about
he
Al
was one of our
Sharpton from my
favorite.
mom. She schooled me as a little boy. Like, do not trust this man. He's evil.
Okay.
So I was like, dang, him and Jesse Jackson.
We will end
2
it-
men to stay away from.
We will end it right there. As I said, thank you for listening to the Politricks Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, please hit subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what topics you want us to talk about next. You could email us at hello@politrickspodcast. Don't forget, tomorrow is the second part of the presidential debate. We didn't get into it. We tried watching half of it, but it was a total mess on our end, so we couldn't talk about it. But we're definitely going to. Hopefully, we'll be able to do it for the next episode. Thank you so much, Elad, for coming. Like this was a really, really good. I think I had a really good time with.
Yeah, definitely.
How did you guys feel?
We appreciate your perspective. We
Yeah.
really do.
Nah, you know,
I hope you will.
Elad,
I
man.
hope you're willing to come back and talk to us. I think we had like a really great synergy here.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll